So let's talk about the biggest disclosure on Trump that we've ever heard before. I'm going to ask you a question. Was this really a $1.4 billion crypto empire, or are we watching in real time another crypto rug pull? That's the question dominating social media right now. But I think everyone is looking in the wrong direction. I talked about this 2 years before we ever heard of the disclosures. And I'm going to bring this to you today, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to put it into action. We're going to think. We're going to be critical. But I think everyone is still not truly understanding what's going on. Now, this story is not about money, disclosures, speculation, or regulation. And what it's really about is institutional crypto. Is it actually looks for us in the future, or is it going to get left behind because of all of the trauma that we are seeing right now? And when I say trauma, I didn't mean drama. I meant trauma. Now, today, we're following money. We're following politics. But before I do that, I want to make sure that we know where we're at. This is the Underdog Research Channel. But today, I have a special guest. But they're more than a guest. This has been for the last 5 to 6 years. I've had this platform, has been one of the most electromatic individuals ever. And I made that word up. Indigo Saint, some know him as. You heard his songs and music at the beginning and in every single video. You heard him also do content, Indigo Futures. But today we've joined forces and we have something new for you. But before I do that, let me bring him out. What's going on, Indigo Futures? How you doing?
Yes, sir. What's going on, Underdog? What's going on, Underdog community? Yeah, we out here. Yeah, I'm so happy about how consistent we've been with the messaging on your channel, on my channel, with the growth as well. And I mean, there are a lot of things that I've just been putting a lot of time into, on the technical analysis side and also the fundamental side. But what I'm more excited to share, with people is the stories that are underlying the assets that people are really invested in. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm just like super excited to get into this conversation, man. And again, always thank you for having me on the channel and for extending this welcome, bro.
Man, I can't just bring you out like that, folks. Let's go ahead and bring him out like we're supposed to. Let's get it.
I could have all of the money and gold in the world, but it's things that I just can't afford. I could have Bitcoin and stocks and like 10 ETFs, but it's things that I cannot afford. I cannot linger on things that I know I can change. If I can, then I'm changing them all. Why you not chasing your dreams every day when you know you got problems that's barely being solved? I could have all of the money and gold in the world, but it's things that I cannot afford. I could have rich vibes and money in my G, but it's things that I cannot afford. Talking about wasting my time on a dream that ain't mine, and I'm sorry I can't be involved. If I can wake up and grind every morning, I'm taking my chance and I'm taking up calls.
All right,
Yes,
folks.
sir.
I had to. So let's jump.
Real world alpha.
Real world alpha. Folks, let's give you, for those who are watching and those who will watch in the future after this live ends, let me go ahead and let you know what we're doing. For the first time ever, we have come together and we have created something new and different for you. And what we're showing you right now is what we'll be doing. The Real World Alpha. This is a part of the Underdog Research Channel show. Indigo Saint and I have joined forces, and you will be getting consistent, regular engagement from one platform, and that is this platform right here. Each week, you will be able to find out all the things that you didn't know, the topics that a lot of people don't talk about, and we're going to make sure that you are in a position to win. So if that sounds good to you, everyone, I want to make sure that you understand that today is be your first episode of Real World Alpha. Let's get into it. So, Saint, I want to bring this up. Let's talk about it. All right. We are watching here something that has just now hit people's ears, eyes, because a disclosure came out. What is the disclosure? Trump and his crypto empire that was built from the time that he came into office and to now. In 2025, disclosures were made that an estimate between $1.4 billion and also $4 billion was accumulated. Now, I'm going to walk us through this with everyone here. I don't know why this conversation got so quiet for all the content creators, but I want to make sure that we do the same thing that we do all the time. We keep that same energy. So I don't know why this conversation is being avoided. We're supposed to give you research over the hype. We're supposed to give you real information. But I noticed that for this having $4 billion worth of money being accumulated in 2025, there were some things off about this. There were some warning signals that we saw. So I want to talk about that today. And I want to do that by doing one thing. I want to bring up a timeline, and I'm going to stop throughout. We're going to talk to Indigo Saint and as AKA Indigo Futures. But I want to bring up some stats because we need a foundation of truth. Let's go through a timeline. On August the 6th of 2024, this is during the Biden administration. This is prior to the Trump administration taking office. I'm going to play a snippet for everyone about a little thing that I said to you back then. And we're going to go through this, and then we're going to talk about it. Now, before I do that, I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. We know that the election happened November of 2024, and we know the president goes into place in the next year, at the very beginning of the year. So I want you to understand the timeline throughout. When I show you a visual, you'll see a timeline. So let's put this timeline together. So let me pull this up here and see if I can find this for you. And if I can't find it offhand, I'm going to jump to the second piece, which will be a date right afterwards. I don't think it's going to play through this. So let me pull up this first quote. This was on August 6th. This is a Telegram message that I put on August the 12th, August 8th. This is what it says. I'm going to pull the video up in a moment. The video that you're seeing right in front of you is my screenshot from a message I put in my Telegram. It reads as follows on August the 8th of 2024. It is important that this information is stated because the brand of the Underdog community is to provide research and awareness to exactly these type of details. I don't want anyone to come to the Telegram to see the post on a political coin like MAGA, Dark Biden, Hoppy, Matt Fury, and be misled that these projects are endorsed or associated with the administration or the artist in the case of Hoppy. So just leave that type of information, as I know many people will be scammed in these projects that are using the popularity to sell tokens. So basically hype. In my post on Hoppy and videos I add that they are not endorsed nor researched for this reason. Now, I'm going to bring it back to a Saint, and I'm going to talk about this. Now, what am I about to get to? We're about to talk about how for 1.4 billion to 4 billion estimated disclosures coming from the White House, from the president themselves, how it happened in 2025. And I want you to know about these endorsements, about hype, and how I stated in August of this time frame that people could be scammed if they're not waiting to look at what really happens. Now I'm going to bring up this one more, and then I'm going to get Indigo Saint. We're going to jump into this. Now, when I bring this one up, we're going to read this together. I'm giving this timeline for a reason because I can't get to 2025 until I show you 2024. So let's go to 2025 right here, and let's pull this up so you can see this. So let's look at this one a little bit better. 9/25 of 2024. This is just a month later. These political coins for Trump have no long-term utility and will ultimately crash and take most people's money. I would not invest in these projects as they may move the charts, but ultimately they all will likely fail. Putting emotions with crypto investments is a huge mistake, in my opinion. Politics is personal to individuals, and supporters of candidates are investing primarily due to their personal beliefs of the candidates, disregarding their own benefits. This is a great upside for the project owners, but horrible potential downside for investors. And then I'm going to bring it up to Indigo Saint, and we're going to Indigo Futures. So Saint, You see what I'm about to get to before we even get talking. You heard the news about the $1.4 billion with the Trump coin?
Yes, sir. And I also remember that time. I also remember that time when you posted those messages, you know. And this is one thing that I've always found consistent about your messaging and your research, right? Is that it's always been a couple of months or a couple of weeks ahead of what happens. You know what I mean? So it's in to everyone who's watching, I always joke around with Underdog, and I always call him an oracle because it always feels like he knows what's about to happen, right? But then if you really think about it, the reality of it is, if a token has no utility, then how can you think about a future for that project? And also, again, as was said in that message, right, for the project owners, great potential great upside, actually, you know what I mean? But for you as an investor, though, right? And also, you know, as investors also, I mean, I'd like to believe if you're on this channel, you're someone who wants to be first on projects, right? When when you find out whether it's about an RWA project, or you find out about a DeFi project, or one of the projects that maybe Underdog is talking about, maybe recently, there's been conversation around TRM Labs, right? So when you find out about these projects, you want to be first, right? But then I'll think about the potential harm that comes from being first in something that's actually taking your money, and something that you saw as having potential upside, right? Or as we call it, alpha, right? You look at this project and you see it performing better, or you project a better upside from it, you know what I mean? But the reality of it is, you do have to look at these projects and remove your emotions out of them, regardless of your affiliations, whether they're political affiliations, or whether they're economic affiliations, or whatever, financial, etc. Or even if it is just a thing of, you really like Donald Trump because you really like this show, you like this TV show, you know what I mean? But you have to take all of those emotions out, because you have to remember, again, this is about your money, this is about your future, so yeah. That's how I feel about that, man. That's how I feel about that.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's really one of those conversations. This is the part that people log off on and don't watch, because we are in that microwave mindset that we're thinking the only thing you can get out of this is to know the obvious. Donald Trump and his family was able to accumulate $1.4 to $4 billion. My point is, who do they get it from? And how can we use this information to put ourselves in a position later on to win? By the time we finish this conversation, saying, oh, that's what we're going to get. We're going to talk about how we can use this information to put ourselves in a better position. So I did find what I wanted to pull up. Let me do this. Let me show you, everyone. I'm going to go to this August the 6th of 2024, and we're about to get into our place where we need to be. So August 6th of 2024, this is what we'll see. I'm about to share with you a little video, and this is going to be about 20 seconds, and then we'll bring it all the way until the election. Here we go. The conversation about free stablecoins is already here. We have a potential presidential election. This is not about politics. I need you to hear what I'm saying to you. And you're trying to think about how we can create blockchain regulation that can work for both Democrats, Republicans, and independents, because it's more than just Democrats and Republicans. Now, that little snippet was 2024 August. What I was seeing is that the stablecoin was going to be the asset that's the RWA, a real world asset, that's going to be utilized in the future as a real world value, whether you're a Republican or Democrat. And that little snippet you saw, I was already stating that one of the political parties would realize that the best way to move value is to absolutely obtain, let me get this off here, to obtain Let me make sure I'm here. Okay, there we go. The best way to move value is to obtain stable coins, because a stable coin is a real world asset. Now, this came into play, and why is this important? Here's my prediction that's going to happen, and we're about to get into the meat. Most folks who you watched the thumbnail, you saw the Trump family, and so you're interested to you might have heard, oh my goodness, they got $4 billion. Sure, they took some money, a lot of money, but how does it affect me? Because if you don't understand what's going to be the catalyst in the next 1 year to 2 years, or when the current administration ends, then you're not going to be ready to be in the right projects. By the time you see it again, you'll be buying into the green candles. I'm trying to help you see right now where it's moving. So before the president was elected, I told you stable coins in August 6, 2024 would be the thing that's used to move money. Let's see if we are getting that correct. And so now we're going to move into the next little spot. So we moved to September the 30th of 2024. I played this one quite a bit. This is BlackRue Investing and myself. And we gave a little bit of conversation about the upcoming election. Again, if we see the math here, you see where I'm doing here. I started in August. Now we're talking about the next month over. BlackRue Investing came on. And so I'm about to play a little snippet for you, and then we're going to connect it. We're almost to that election and almost to where this money went to. So let's play this little part and talk about that. So let me pull this up for you. BlackRue.
Yeah, if you look at the Biden administration and what was happening with XRP and Gensler, a lot of people look negatively on this administration with crypto. So it's like, both don't really have a positive track record. Yet when you hear like both, even though like the perception is that Trump is better for crypto. That's the perception. But if you listen to both of them talk, it seems like they have no idea truly what's going on with crypto. So globally, the economies are very, very much suffering. And I think globally, like the current like fiat system is really suffering. So I really do believe when you look at things globally and the way that fiat is going, it's really boding well for cryptocurrency, both with BRICS and G7. And as far as like Bitcoin and other like blue chip cryptocurrencies are concerned, I think that really, really bodes well, because this current global monetary system is dying. It is dying. I just think the whole global fiat system is in itself dying. And honestly, I think that bodes well for cryptocurrency.
Woo, BlackRue. Let me tell you, folks, this is why y'all know I like to kick it with BlackRue. All right, folks, let's take this off. Let's make it make sense. So saying this is what I'm trying to get to for everybody that's there, Indigo Futures. What we have here is the very nature of crypto. And I'm going to be honest with you. If y'all watch this platform, you watch Indigo Futures and Underdog, I have been known to talk about a project as I research that project. I might think that project is a good project, but when I find out something that contradicts what even I believed, I tell you, I've always done that, because it doesn't matter where the information goes. What's important is I give you the most accurate information possible. We can't always win. We're not behind those closed doors. But what do we have here? Check out your intelligence, everyone. You all need this part. They, meaning the governments and high wealth earning people, believe that we're ignorant. I'll be honest with you. They believe that we're too ignorant to see the truth. We love making other people rich, and we'll do it in the detriment of ourselves. And we also won't recognize the environment that can create wealth. Here's the environment. In August of 2024, the crypto environment was very sluggish underneath the Biden administration, as it had been for decades before. Crypto has only been out since a certain period of time in the early 2000s. And so now we have a situation where it's new. It wasn't until the very end of the Biden administration, close to election, where the vice president, Kamala Harris, at that time recognized that the voter group in the United States were very pro-crypto. Now, the opposing party recognizes that they want to get back in office because they was facing criminal charges. So they needed to do something. So the very first thing they did is you're going to go to and appease the voters for where they are. This is what you say during speeches to get your votes. Now, what is the problem? As BlackRue said, during that time frame, the world global economy was bad. We just got out of COVID. And now that we have a problem, Fiat is dying. I can talk to you, Indigo Futures, about money. How's inflation look over the last 20 years? And from your perspective, globally, inflation looks a little different depending on where you are in the world, right?
It does. It does. It does.
It makes it different.
It does, yeah. And again, it's that thing where, you know, the confidence with the traditional financial system, right, is generally depreciating across different parts of the world, which is why you then have, you know, the formation of BRICS, you know, where like, why would Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, why would they get together and then try and figure out a different way to start transacting and start moving money, right? If the old way or the traditional way was so perfect, you know what I mean? So again, it's that thing where if you start paying attention to these things, and also it's, as you said, like we are so pro making other people wealthy, you know, and we only start considering ourselves after, you know what I mean? We only start making moves after. When you start looking at this, and but it's that thing where it's like we don't actually think about what is the best possible move for me right now, what moves my needle right now, you know. And some of these narratives are actually things that are not, let's say, call them common, right, or that are not that are not things that like everyone is doing, you know, which is why you're here, which is why you're watching this channel, because, you know, when you're here, we're not with the grain, right? We're not moving like that. You know what I mean? We're always constantly trying to find the things that other people are neglecting, or sometimes the things that these companies think they've hidden, or that they think they haven't actually shown. You know what I mean? And that's what we're constantly about. That's what we're constantly about. So I do think, like, yeah, like just around these financial systems, around traditional finance, around fiat, and even just thinking stablecoins, right? Like there's I like to think of it as a mini war that people don't see. I call it the stablecoin war, because I mean, you have USDT, USDC, and then you have a PUSD, which is Plume's USD, which is Plume's version of its, you know what I'm saying, stable token, right? And then there's also something that's brewing, that's coming soon, which is OUSD, which is Open USD, right? And so you have to start thinking, like, why would there be a need for there to be what's the word I want to use? Why would there be a need for there to be regulation, right, around these stable coins now? Why is there such a rush for that to be done? You know what I mean? And if you can see that, then you clearly know. Like, if you can see that first, if you can see that right now as I'm saying it, then you'll know exactly which projects we're looking into right now.
And what you're saying, I'm going to go back. I promise you guys I'll connect the dots back to the Trump family, but let's talk about what he just said, though. When the average person, look at stable coins, we don't see a monetary value because we know it's pegged with $1, and stable coins don't go up and down in price. Oh, folks, but you see, that's the part. You don't see the value in it. Watch this. Saint, we're in two different locations, correct?
Correct.
Now, Saint, you ever trade Forex before?
Yes, sir.
And isn't Forex trading the difference, arbitrage between the value in one market and the next market?
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
So if I have $100 in the United States and I put it against the Japanese yen, if is the dollar the same value in the Japanese yen if the Japanese yen is more valuable than the dollar?
No, sir. And it's crazy that you mentioned the JPY, because for the first time this previous week, the Japanese yen actually they had the yen had its worst performing week on forex and also in the futures markets against the US dollar. This is it's weak. This is the weakest it's been against the US dollar since the 1980s, right?
So
So
how do you
again,
make money? How you make money with it?
you have to find that arbitrage. You have
And
to know what it is. Yeah.
what's the arbitrage? See, I'm gonna put it together for him. What's the arbitrage?
Yes, sir. It's that difference between the prices of these two assets, right? So the US
That's
dollar
right.
is going to be valued at here, right? If we're just putting it at a level, the US dollar is valued here, the Japanese yen is valued here. And if you can find that way what when you're trading, what you're doing is you're trying to take advantage of this difference here. The difference, essentially, like this difference, is your money, right? Or if you don't know what you're doing, this difference is how much you lose. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And that's what I want to, and the reason I built that up because I always keep connecting it back to our topic today. For us, for retail investors who are not high wealth earning investors, you see USDT, you see whatever the stablecoin is, you see no value. You don't go on Coinbase and go buy up let me get me a bag of USDT because you see it not fluctuating. You believe that the only way to make money is to fluctuate the value between a token that you get for under a penny and it goes up. That's because we don't naturally get into finance. But let me tell you how you move money globally. We're talking about if you run a country like the United States or another country like Zimbabwe or any other country, right? If I have oil and you're a sanctioned country, you can't get those greenbacks. You can't get value. So you move the value into another thing that someone else will accept. You move value from oil into a stable coin. Now that stable coin has the backing of a US dollar or the Japanese yen or whatever value is backed, and someone will buy it from you because they can cash out and still retain value. So crypto is truly an exchange of value. Now let's connect it back to the Trump family, and let's connect it back to why it matters to you. There was a problem. BlackRue just said we was coming out of COVID. We had high inflation. The Biden administration was dealing with that. We're at the end of his term. Fiat is almost dead. Regular money seems dead. Everyone globally were having a problem after this pandemic. Now, the rich recognize a problem. They recognize that if they can pull this money into crypto, then if they win that election, they can distort, they can hype and inflate the value because us, who has the most money, but we're not combined, will buy into that hype. And then now it's a matter about waiting. And when they wait at a certain time. Now, before we started this, you looked up some stats from October 2025 about Bitcoin. Did you get a chance to look them up?
Yes, sir. I did. Let me see if I can share the screen.
All right. Let me know.
Okay. So we're going to look at what I have over here is I have a Bitcoin chart. You might be familiar with this if you've been looking at Bitcoin because, everyone wants to see how well Bitcoin is performing. And, everyone just kind of gauges this, right? Everyone uses this as a gauge to see and determine how well crypto is doing, right? So what I did is I set a marker right at the start of President Biden's term, all right? And this is from the it was the 20th of Jan, but this is on a weekly chart. So what we are looking at here is we're looking at it. Each candle basically represents a week, right? And this was President Biden's term, right? This is from the 20th of January 2021. And if you're watching this again, if you remember, this was also during the pandemic. And then there was something that changed significantly. There was a narrative that shifted for the crypto markets. And this was on the week of the 7th of November, right? And how do I know that something significantly changed? Well, because we put in a low, like we were kind of just consolidating around here, like price was kind of moving, bouncing between what should we call this, like 70,000, and at its lowest at that point it was around 18,000. And then we put in that low. We then put in the low from the 22nd, right?
What date was that? What year? What year and date?
This is the 22nd of October 2021.
All right,
right?
go ahead.
So this is still pretty early. This is still right at the beginning of President Biden's term, right? And then we had a pretty solid rally, right? This yellow line represents the average price, what was determined as the fair value, as in the fair price to pay for Bitcoin at that time, right? And at some point we're performing well above that, right? And then now this is where it starts to get interesting for me now, right? And I guess for like everyone as well who's involved, right? This is the start of President Trump's term, right? This is the week of the 13th of January, 2025. Okay, so right at the beginning, again, you would have noticed that we are performing well above this orange line, this gold line over here. And by performing well above, what I mean basically is that price is above this line, right? And again, just to reiterate it again, what this yellow line represents is it represents the fair price of the asset, meaning this is what the market deemed was the fair value, the fair price to pay for Bitcoin, right? But now at the beginning of President Trump's term, this is the price of Bitcoin, right? And we were in the 100,000s. I remember the excitement of breaking that 100K because everyone believed, everyone, I remember the conversations, everyone believed that after we break 100K, Bitcoin is going to 500,000, right? Which is all really emotion, all speculation, right? But what's the date? What's the date that we really, really want to hone into, right? And Underdog, remind me, we did say October, confirm?
October. Yes, sir.
October, right? And again, this is what happened in October. I'm just zooming in. In October, right? This is the week of October. This is the first week of October, right here. This big red candle, right? And what was the ATH? What was the all-time high? $126,925, right? But from this date, from the 6th of October, now if you're watching this blue line, right? From this blue line, this is another volume-weighted average price, which is from this point, what we're trying to determine is what was the market's assessment of what fair value was for the asset from this date, right? And if you're watching this, and I mean, if you've been watching the charts, you will know that we have been performing, again, prices just being consistently below this line, right? And the question is, what is it that changed so significantly on that week of the 6th of October, right? And I guess if I am to like really, really zoom into it, because I remember this day because like I trade the futures market often and predominantly. I remember this date, and this was the 10th. This was the 10th of October. And I remember this because, and I promise you, you can go onto any chart for any asset, any chart of every asset. If you go onto Plume, if you go onto the S&P 500, if you go onto NASDAQ, if you go onto gold, anything that you go on, like any chart that you go and look at, right? The thing that I really want to highlight is this candle, which is the 10th, Friday, the 10th of October. This this particular day, on the 10th of October. This is the day that we had and again, as I was saying, I remember this day significantly because I was trading on that day, and I remember how violently price moved lower, right? And this had something to do with the Iran war that was going on. And it also directly had something to do with something that President Trump posted on his Truth Social. So I think let me just pause it at that for now. And then if you have anything to add on, Underdog, I'd be happy to hear it.
Yeah, actually, let's talk about it. So I'm going to leave this up, folks, so we can see this because it ties right into it. And before I go to this and connect what Indigo said, what we're doing here, folks, is you're getting the technicals and you're getting the research and you're seeing the full picture all together. Now, I brought you to the warnings. We saw the environment. Now let's connect to what Saint said. So check this out, folks. If we look at this portion right here, what we'll see is this. On the all-time high was early October 2025, just like Indigo Saint said. And then came a crash. Now, to the untrained eye, if you're watching, you're not truly paying attention because there's multiple things happening. We have global unrest, and I'll bring that up in a minute. But something happened that Indigo Saint showed you earlier, and let me bring this up to your attention. See, when we was moving into that all-time high before we got to 125,000, you got to remember there's a timeline. And let me show you this timeline of what happened after 2024. So I'm going to put this large so everyone can see this. And I'm going to put it here on the screen. We talked about it before. September 2024, WLFI Finance starts talking about releasing 2 meme coins. January 17th, 2025, president has been elected, President Trump, and we have the Trump coin. January 19th, 2025, we had a Melania coin, and we have early October 2025, Bitcoin prices up. Now here's where it gets interesting. I gotta pull Indigo futures back up. So Indigo just showed you the charts. He showed you the Bitcoin chart. He showed you the end of one presidency. He showed you the beginning in 2025. He showed you as it went up. It was already going up under the Biden administration. And then, as BlackRue said in 2024, the perception was the Trump family was going to be the crypto gurus. They're going to be the crypto kings. The United States will be the thing. So hype was the perception. So hype pushed the price up. Prior to that, there's been a lot of regulation. So retail investors, we pushed the price to the 70,000 that we saw before because crypto was highly regulated, thinking as securities. We saw XRP for 7 years. We had a whole video about that. Then the perception pushed it up to 50,000 higher. So here's the problem, folks. Oh my goodness, we're about to show it right now. So during this time frame, this is the problem. When this report first came out that we recently saw, the report shows that right where Indigo Saint just identified, there was a drop, equity sucked out of these 2 meme coins that caught the very first part of the crypto. So they bought low and they dropped down from the $1.70 that they're currently now, but there was a couple of cents to $75 at their all-time high. That was October of 2025. $13.73, October of 2025. And then I'm going to bring it back to Indigo Saint. I like to see a space when we talk about this thing. So we see that these 2 meme coins were put in place strategically. What we do when we are retail investors, we buy low and we sell high. The perception, the hype, the celebrityism was there. They interjected at the very beginning, before the presidency even started, January, 2 meme coins. And let's see who started that meme coin. And I'm gonna pull it up here. World Liberty Finance. And let me tell you when they sold it. Saint, can you tell us again on the chart where that red candle is? Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
My bad. 10th of October, 2025.
And according to folks, the new, now available President and Vice President certified annual financial disclosure reports released on June the 30th of 2026, World Liberty Finance took all that equity and sold. Let's put it on big screen so y'all can see it for the world to see. 75% of their worth they sold right there after that mark. And they took all that equity. And that means that the token sales, it cut out 75% of the value. And let's see who lost in that deal. Let's see who won and let's see who lost. So if you look at that, the winners, this is who you gave your money to. There was 58 winners. 58 people globally in the world made over $10 million each. $1.1 billion in this sale. But 764,000 wallets lost their money the moment that World Liberty Finance sold those coins. And I wouldn't make y'all do a little bit of the math, but if you look at the tokenomics for World Liberty Finance, they keep like 80 to 90% of the tokens. So when they sold 75%, Saint, you're a mathematician. If you have a pie, and that pie, you own 80% of the pie, and then you sell 75% of that 80% of the pie, how much are you leaving of the pie for the rest of the people in the room?
Just a small little slice of pie. It's like a tiny slice of pie for everybody who gave us the rest of their money. You know what I mean? Have some crumbs.
Have some crumbs. But let's talk about those crumbs, Saint. I just want to put this back up because you said he just showed you the technicals. The technicals don't lie. It's immutable. You can't change it. Saint.
Yeah.
No one's been comparing the dates and times of Bitcoin being sold at its high, placement of a token in January, and now. So let me ask you one more question. I just told you about the 80% they owed. They own 80% of that pie, Saint. The Trump family, World Liberty Finance, sold 75% of their pie. But don't forget, Saint, we gotta put this math in here. There were still 58 other winners. And those 58 made 10 million more. So now, Saint, if we take the remainder of that, not the Trump family, right? 80% was owned by Trump family, 75% was sold. That means the other 25%, you got to split it up with the 58 investors who got 10 million out the deal. So, Saint, if you was to subtract the amount of 58 investors who made 10 million over the deal, what's left for the people left with the remaining bags? What happened to it?
It all went, bro.
It's gone.
That's all. It's gone. It's all with the investors. You know, it's all with the and that's the thing. This is the thing about like financial maths, right? And by financial maths, I mean like the math that is involved in adding financial things up. These are absolute numbers. We do not have 101%. If I put in 10 million, there is no $10 million and $1, right? It's $10 million. That's that. Yeah, whatever it is that I have can accrue, right? But again, this is what makes the financial math, right? So if of this pie, as we're saying, if there's 75% and 75% of it goes one way, and then 25% of the rest of it goes the other way, right? And you don't know where your percentage is, basically what it means is you got cut out of that deal. You don't have a slice of that pie. You know what I mean? And it's that we just have to, it's just like sometimes when I see these things on the charts, right? I do think about it, and I do think I'm just like, I just don't have a way to prove this for a fact, right? But every time that I've seen a post from President Trump, right, whilst market is open, right, I cannot say that for sure that this was done to manipulate the markets, right? But it does make me think that, I mean, if it was so important, why wasn't it said after the market was closed? Because again, if you're looking at the 10th of October, the thing that was announced on the 10th of October was the tariffs, right? And it was the hike in tariffs between the US was hiking tariffs on China, basically, essentially, and it had something to do with rare earth materials, etc. And that was the beginning of the tariff war, right? Which I still call just the beginning of the overall war, right? And the beginning of that, again, is just that thing where you look at the charts and you look at everything, and everything goes down because there's certain things that a president can say, especially, I mean, not say especially, there's certain things that a standing U.S. president says that that has direct impact on markets and across all markets, right? So that particular post moved everything down. It moved the S&P 500 down. It moved the NASDAQ down. It moved the Dow Jones index down. It moved Bitcoin down. It moved gold down. Everything went down, right? But then also in that everything going down, again, if you're looking at the charts and you're looking at the Trump coin and you're looking at the Melania coin, you'll also see the same down movement. And the question is, how much more of it was being sold off during that move?
Absolutely.
It just looks like a small, insignificant candle. But then now when you start connecting the bigger, then you start connecting the macro now, and you start seeing like, okay, wait. Why was this said on this particular day? Right. And if memory serves me right, I believe October 10 was a Friday. Let me just confirm. I believe 10 October 2025 was a Friday. 1 second, Underdog. It was it was a Friday. It was a Friday. So again, it's that thing where it's like, now if you're looking at it and you're looking at it from the perspective of what then happens after Friday, right? After Friday, you have the weekend, and then you give people the entire weekend to speculate and to then panic and to then decide and choose positions as to what it is that they're going to do with their open positions or closed positions in the market, right? And that just gives everyone this bearish sentiment. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, for the people who are really invested in these tokens, you're holding on to this and you're hoping, yeah, this is just a little blip. This is going to recover. And you miss the whole fact that, like, nah, actually,
Yes.
this was the beginning of your ruining. Like, that was your sign.
Absolutely.
That was your signal to get out, so
That and that's the thing about it. You just said the key word, the signal.
yeah.
The signal to get out. So let me put this up here because I want to keep throwing facts behind it, because I know y'all hearing us talk. So we're putting the data with the absolutes that have been discussed and disclosed, and that you put in between. So this is what we're saying. At the height of Bitcoin was in 2025, October, early of 2025. And it goes saying, just told you, he just connected again to tariffs. That was the tariff war with China as well, was being announced then. So how do you extract the bag? The money is in the vault. The vault is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is holding this value, 126,000 per Bitcoin, trillions of dollars within a Bitcoin. How do you extract it? So while you hear about the tariff war, and we'll talk about that in a second, this is what happens. Then this happens. The money is extracted. 97.7 from the Trump coin. You got in for cents. It went up to 75, but 58 people got the signal before you did. 99.5% down for Melania coin. It came in January. They picked the perfect time. I'm going to ask you this question. It's a rhetorical question for everyone who's listening. Do you really think that the president of the United States doesn't know when companies are going to sell, when they're going to make economic moves? They literally control the pen. They know they can get in and out. You don't have that access. You don't have that knowledge. You have to hope that a content creator will hopefully get some crumbs they can put together, piecemeal it together so you'll know when to move. You also depend on people like Saint, who looks at the charts and who looks at these things and sees where the money moves. And you got to put them both together, but they don't have to do all that guesswork. They control the country. So what is interesting is, let's look at the tariff war. When you look at the tariff war, I'm going to share this too. 1 second. Let's pull this up. If we look at the tariff war, let's see how well that tariff war went. So, Saint, you just said that there was a tariff war. Is that correct?
Yep.
We was fighting against China, correct?
Correct.
Bitcoin dropped down a lot, did it not?
You did.
So can someone please explain this to me? I'm going to read from the White House, posted this. President Donald J. Trump secures historic deals with China. Wait a minute, Saint, I thought you said we were fighting with China.
Yep.
Am I incorrect? Did I read that wrong? Let me read it again. Maybe you misspoke. I'm going to read it again. This was posted May 17th of 2026. President Donald Trump from the White House secures historic deals with China, delivering for American workers, farmers, industry. According to this, the week during the first visit of U.S. President, the People's Republic of China in 2017, President Donald Trump reached a consensus with the president of China. What did they reach the consensus to do? Oh, okay, they're going to give $17 billion a year to China for our own agriculture. I thought we was in a tariff war with them.
And that's just the thing. And that's just the thing with the announcements, right? With the announcements. And I remember also during that time, there were certain presidents who were getting their letters of how much they would have to pay with their tariffs, who were getting their letters on Twitter, right? And can you imagine being a diplomatic leader and you just wake up and all of a sudden your entire country is reposting something that the president of the United States just posted, as a letter to inform you officially, as if there aren't any official channels, right? And then a couple of months later, right? And then it's a 180.
It's
right?
a flip.
It's like we were here all of a sudden, then all of a sudden we're here. And that's what, I'm not saying that this is what it is, right? But again, I'm just calling it as I'm seeing it, where if I had information as to what the top 100 performing companies were doing in my country, if I had that information as to this is what they're planning on doing, this is the technology that they plan on bringing in, and I also had direct information as to what each of the nations, right, around the world that I am, somehow directly responsible for providing certain things like protection or maybe a financial system or financial backing, etc. If I had direct information as to what it is that they were planning on doing, then it really would be easy for me, to move a market, because I know anything I say, the whole world is literally hanging on to every syllable.
Isn't that inside trading though? I mean, isn't that inside trading?
It is.
If I work as a CEO of a company and I call to another company, let's say you have a company and we have investors, we're publicly traded, and I happen to have a person who works for me who says to their family, you know what you need to do, company B, buy up their stock because I am about to make a deal with Indigo Future tomorrow. How's that not inside trading?
Yeah, I guess in this sense, they wouldn't call it inside trading, but they'd call it as politics.
I know, but that's the point. That's the point I wanted to do this video for. I don't know what it is now. I think people are afraid. Indigo Futures. I think people are afraid of being taken offline. They're afraid of retribution. But we can't remain in a space of fear and then expect freedom. If we really believe that we want to put ourselves in a financial position, the people, which are the people we call to serve, should know the truth. And I think that the truth is what the data is. I can't ignore it. I'm gonna pull this up just so we can just see this data. So I'm pulling this up. This is what was reported in the disclosure. I'm going to put it big screen for a second so everyone can see it. What was reported in the disclosure, 636 million from the Trump memecoin launch. It was launched at the beginning of January. It was sold after October. So they acquired all of that upward momentum that Saint had brought out, or Indigo Futures had brought out. 1.4 billion in crypto revenue was disclosed. 799 million from World Liberty Finance. Key reporting spans 2024 to 2025. 58 investors made millions, but almost 1 million people with wallets lost money. So the question is really, and I'm giving it as a question, is really rhetorical. If you see that you are going to, there's two different books here. There's the books for the wealthy and there's the books for everybody else. If you make the mistake of thinking that the people who are wealthy that we are supporting by giving them our money and our wealth are going to help you out, why didn't you get the signal? Saint, you said there was a signal there. Why didn't we get that announcement? They made money, but most people were in a bear market last year. And the reason they was in a bear market because we never got the signal from them that we should trade, that we should get out of something. Otherwise, they would have lost. Is it okay for them to lose? Let's think about it. They meaning this World Liberty Finance, according to the disclosures. Saint, let me put it out here again. According to the disclosures, they made 799 million from token sales, business interest. Okay, what were the tokens? And I'm not trying to be funny. The tokens, Trump and Melania tokens. They made 636 million from one of them, Trump coin, 6 million from Melania coin. Again, 799 million from what tokens? We got the data. What do we need to see? They extracted the value. If this was, I've been doing this for 6 years, Saint. If I was to report on a project that didn't tell their investors they're about to sell 75% of their tokens, and you got left holding the bag like you see here, they would call it a rug pull all day. So what's the difference?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Yeah. And there really is none, there really is none. And it's that thing where if, again, just like with bringing it back to something that I said earlier about like understanding financial maths, right? And understanding what being rug pulled means and what it actually is, right? You also have to understand that like every time when you're in any market, whether it's the crypto market or futures or forex, right? For every buyer, there's a seller, and for every seller, there's a buyer. You don't buy from a magic person, right? You buy from someone who exists in that market, and whoever is selling, right, is selling to someone who is the buyer, right? And if you are buying this thing, right, it means that you're buying something from someone who is selling it to you, right? And the reason why we have this like strong decline in price, right, is because they knew right from the get-go that this wasn't going to be worth anything, right? And also they understood that like there was a lot of hype around these projects. And so with that understanding, these people were consistently and constantly selling off their positions, right? Like, okay, cool. I got it at $7. Okay, you're buying it at $7. I'm going to sell it to you at $7, right? Because I know it's never going to be $10, right? Actually, not even $7. I believe when we're looking at that chart, just confirm for me, Underdog, like the highest that the Trump coin was at was actually 70, right? 70.
Here it goes right
dollars.
here. Here it goes. Let me pull it up. The highest it was right here. And give me a second. I'm going through my slides. I came prepared, but let me pull it up 1 second. So the highest it was, I want to say 75. Let's see. That's not it. I got to go down a little bit further. Here we go. There we go.
$75, right? $75. So at $75, right? Someone knew that this isn't going above $75. And so they started selling off their position. So at $75 now in the market, I see someone's keen on this because they're thinking, damn, I mean, if it's $75, I don't want to get into this project when it's now at $200. This is the new Bitcoin, right? This is the new Ethereum, right? And so at $75, you're buying it at $75. But because you're buying it at $75 because they sold it to you at $75. Price drops again. Price gets to 70. You're thinking, ooh, okay, cool. Look, this thing is $70 now, right? I'm getting an even better price. Let me buy some more. Who are you buying it from? You're buying it from the same person who understands that this thing is never going back to $75, my bro. But he's going to sell it to you again. And there's nothing wrong with that because that's exactly how markets work, right? That's how you keep markets efficient. Price drops again. It gets to 65. And same thing happens, same cycle, gets to 50. You're thinking, okay, I'm really getting a good deal. Maybe at $25, maybe at $25, now you're kind of worried a little, you know what I mean? But also, again, historically in the past, right, you've seen Bitcoin get to sub 100,000 and then drop to 16,000. So, maybe this is just the nature of the market, right? But it's not. This is the nature of a rug pull.
It is exactly that. I think this is a rug pull. I'm just going to say it straight. I'm not going to sugarcoat. It was a rug pull, in my opinion. I'm going to play a clip. And this, again, the reason I believe it was a rug pull for everyone who is watching is because I discussed this. Let me pull this up, and then I'll play this little clip. This is me 10/29 of 2024. I'm going to read it out loud so that everyone can see it. This was in my Telegram. Community alert. Based on the movement of these coins, that's them talking about all the Trump coins that were made at that time, where it was about to be released by WLFI Finance, open source intelligence I did, conversations online, and structure setup of Trump coin. I believe it is a honeypot and will be a huge rug pull. I cannot give financial advice, but I can provide my personal feelings without legal ramifications. So I personally feel this is, as well as other MAGA and Trump coins, have the foundations of a rug pull. I personally believe after the election, there will be a mysterious hack and millions of dollars of revenue will be a loss. I believe it will extremely more high risk like other meme coins. This is because it has political nexus that people will invest more due to the brand recognition. I can't tell you what to do, but I don't want anyone to get their money taken unnecessarily. Please consider a coin can crash in seconds, not giving you the time to remove your funds. That's all I can say for now, and I hope I am wrong about what I'm seeing, like any negative sentiment. However, if I'm right, your money is in jeopardy. And then sure enough, folks, was I right? Well, let's see what we have. According to the stats, there was only 10 winners. There was only 58 winners, and they made $10 million. Almost 1 million people lost their money. 1 million people lost. This is the current value at the time in which you're watching this. You lost that equity. And I want to play a quick video for everyone just to talk about that one piece. This was after this. This is recently. So check this out, folks.
Welcome back to CBS News 24/7. We're looking at documents that show President Trump made $1.4 billion from crypto ventures last year. That's even as other investors lost money when the value of Trump meme coins plunged. The White House released a statement saying President Trump only acts in the best interests of the American public. There are no conflicts of interest. Live to investigative financial reporter for Reuters, Tom Bergen. So, Tom, good to have you with us. Thank you so much for joining us. A lot of people are saying this could be a conflict of interest. How so? Explain that for us.
Well, there are so many possible conflicts of interest in this business. It's difficult to know where to start. We also, of course, see other conflicts of interest. One simple one is really, it speaks to what crypto is. And crypto typically, it has no underlying value, the crypto tokens that the Trumps sell, the meme coin and also the World Liberty Financial Token. So really the way you sell those tokens is by creating hype. Typically, promoters of such ventures will hire movie stars, actors, and to do that, President Trump, of course, has got the presidency, and his family, of course, are feted around the world because of that association. So consequently, a lot of this hype can be created because of the president's position. Not to mention that the president, of course, also has hosted events at his properties and attended, while president, to help promote particularly the meme coin.
All right. So, folks, I'm not trying to. This is the point I want to do this, and then we're going to try to get through. Make sure that Indigo Futures talks more, and then we'll turn to the audience. I have a lot of things here, but I didn't want to finish it all in one setting. But I do want to bring this up. This is not about being right, but it is about a timeline that we can't ignore. I told you on 10/29/2024, I alerted the community before the coin was ever released that this would be a rug pull. That's almost 2 years. 1 year before it happened. It happened October the 10th, around that time frame. Indigo Saint just looked at the Bitcoin price and just saw that this correlated, and it was told you by the president themselves. They sold 75% of the 80% of the holdings that they had. I told you then on the 19th of 2024, I thought people would know that don't buy these coins based on crypto, Bitcoin, Trump coin. All the people are putting their investments based on their personal emotions. And make sure this is big so you can see it. Based on their personal emotions is a huge mistake. Well, I'm going to say this after the election. Anyone in a presidential coin are going to be taken to the bank with a huge rug pull within a year. This is my only price prediction. 1,000% of zero is still zero. I told you then, going a little bit further, September 30th of 2024, I brought this up as well about crypto and about how the perception and with BlackRue investing, how the perception can mess you up because the hype can get you to lose your money. I'm going to go back a little bit further. I just want to make sure you knew the warning signals, the signals. 9/25 of 2024, these political coins for Trump have no long-term utility and will ultimately crash and take most people's money. I would not invest. I'm in these projects. I'm not in these projects, and they may move on the charts, but ultimately they will all fail. Going back to August 2024, now we're talking about over a year and 14 months before it ever happened. It's important the information is stated because of a brand of Underdog Crypto is to provide research and awareness of exactly these details. I don't want anyone to come to Telegram to see a post on MAGA, Dark Biden, or Hoppy, or Trump and be misled by these projects. Now, going even further back, last but not least, August 6th of 2024, I brought this up. Now, let me take this off and stop patting myself on the back. let me bring Indigo Futures back. Here's the point I'm trying to make. We have given you the problem. I told you the environment. Underdog Researcher doesn't make price predictions, but this was one of the first I ever made a price prediction on. And it came out to be true 14 months beforehand. I told you about zero knowledge proof technologies a year and a half beforehand. I told you about a Plume network being listed on there over almost 6 months before it happened. I told you that we have a deal with Coinbase. I told you about Bermuda. I told you about Switzerland. I told you about the Mecca. I can keep telling you about the things, but here's where I want to tell you, here's my next price prediction. Here's my next prediction. My next prediction is this. The number one thing that's going to be important, I'm going to play this clip and I'll let Saint talk, but I want to play this last clip and then we'll continue this conversation again. This is the number one thing that will be the catalyst regardless of the administration. Check it out. This is what I want to share with you.
Documents that show President Trump made $1.4 billion from crypto ventures last year. That's even as other investors lost money when the value of Trump meme coins plunged. The White House released a statement saying President Trump only acts in the best interest of the American public. There are no conflicts of interest. live to investigative financial reporter for Reuters, Tom Bergen. So, Tom, good to have you with us. Thank you so much for joining us. A lot of people are saying this could be a conflict of interest. How so? Explain that for us.
Well, there are so many possible conflicts of interest in this business. It's difficult to know where to start. Most of the conflicts of interest really come down to the area of regulation. And the truth is that this is a business that requires, it has had a lot of regulatory problems in the past, regulatory gray areas, and indeed prosecutions, jail time for many people in this industry. With President Trump in the White House, he's been in a position that has allowed him to create an environment that allows his business, the businesses that he's got a very strong financial interest in, to make a lot of money. So the regulatory environment, creating that regulatory environment that facilitates the creation of this 1.4 billion is probably the biggest conflict of interest that exists.
All right. I got to put Indigo Future back on, and I'll make the point, and then I want to give you the floor, Indigo Future. Here's my prediction. You see the shirt that Indigo Future has on? Can you please show them the Real World Alpha? This is there we go. Real World Alpha, also known as real world assets. The stablecoin is miscategorized as a crypto when in fact it is a RWA. It is a digital representation of a real world dollar. If you're in PAX-G, it's a digital representation of an ounce of gold. It is, the stablecoin is a real world asset. You want to know the catalyst? Let me give it to you now. Today is July the 3rd of 2026 at the time at which you're watching this video. I'm going to capture this because we will watch this again. My prediction is this: unless there's a way to prevent another administration from taking the House, the Senate, and the presidency for the rest of the country's history in the future, then eventually there will be a change in administration. When the change in administration happens, there will be investigations. When the investigations happen, then they will take these landmark cases like the FTC now falls under presidential executive branch. That means they will go after any and every project where they believe that whoever's in place, illicit money has touched. So compliance is the new catalyst. So Plume Network, the reason I talk about Plume is not just about Plume, because I see that they are already in the place of compliance. Right now, they're playing the game of politics. They have pictures with the president and vice president. They use that leverage to help them to grow now. But I promise you, in the future, when there's a new administration, whether it's over the House, whether it's over the Senate, whether it's over the presidency, you got to maintain all three for this prediction not to come true. Then there will be investigations, and companies who are not in compliance, when compliance gets really, really strict, because now compliance is a political issue, those companies will get shut down, or they will be sued, or they'll look like XRP did. This is my prediction. So the only thing that survives administration to administration is companies who are already on strict anti-money laundering, anti-fraud compliance, because when they get more restricted, they already have the safe rails to keep existing. But companies who don't, or that was associated with what is perceived to be a rug pull or illicit activity, those companies will get sued. Now, you can get mad at Underdog. You can get upset. In fact, saying, you probably remember when I was in a Telegram, when I put this in a Telegram, it was a really political thing, because people support the candidate of their choice. So when you say something that's, controversial to someone's political beliefs, they believe in the person. I don't give an oath to a person. I have to have integrity. So I can't ignore the data, and I can't ignore what we see. So in conclusion, that's my prediction. The reason and what we're going to do here on this platform, this new show that you're seeing for the first time here, folks, this show, let me put it here in big so you can see it. What we're going to be doing here on the Real World Alpha as a part of this new thing is to help you navigate the future. Indigo Futures is in its name, an Underdog research channel. Together, we give you a powerful package that can allow you to get information that you see just like this 2 years before, a year before. How much notice do you need before you get it that we're going to get you there in the right amount of time? So this is what we're doing here. You'll start seeing Indigo Futures more often on this platform. He'll be starting shows, and we'll do collaborations. But that's it, folks. I want to give you this. I'm going to keep this conversation going later on this week. Indigo Futures, I did a lot of talking for that segment. Talk to me. What do you think about what we've talked about? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, bro. You know, I was thinking just when you on the last piece that you said, right, about how people are loyal to, you know, their candidates, right, and rightfully so, right. I guess it's justified, right. But I also do believe that you need to be loyal to your line. Like, you need to be loyal to your income. You need to be loyal to your investments, right? To your bare minimum, right? Like, what is it that you are in this market for, right? If you're in this as a charity, right? If you're in this and you want to invest some money just to make some other people rich, you know what I mean? Like, kudos to you. You know what I mean? Like, that's you. You know what I mean? But at the same time, at the end of the day, we all have things. We all come from different backgrounds, and everyone has a particular thing that they're looking out for. And, you know, we all have families to take care of, etc. Right? Even if that family is just like you and yourself, right? But we do need to start thinking a lot clearer when it comes to things that have to do with these investments, right? And we also do need to start thinking in the same manner as these investors would also be thinking in. You know what I mean? I think the closer we are to that, right, the better the types of decisions that we make with these markets. Because yes, of course, everything that has to do with money is always going to have some form of emotional toll, right? And that's perfectly fine, and that's perfectly normal, right? If you watch me trade the futures, right? If you watch me trade the futures live, like, I go through this roller coaster of like emotions where I start off and I'm like super chill. And I'm, you know, everything is logical. We're going to take this trade from here. And if we get here and then, right. And then I get into the trades. I'm like, we're getting closer to my target levels, right? And the closer we get to those levels, I start thinking, I'm like, man, maybe this is enough money. Maybe I should just like take what I can out of this, right? And every time, I promise you, every time I do that, the price goes on and hits my target either way, right?
Exactly.
And then the other, you know what I mean? And then there are days where I hold on to a position that I'm supposed to let go of, right? Where I'm like, man, we're like 3 points away from my target. I can hold on to this, right? And we literally get this close to my target, and then the price reverses, right? Something changes fundamentally in the market. And again, like out of this greed, and also out of fear of not being able to be in the market long term, I start to hold on to these positions. But the thing is, like, I'm so cognizant, and I've been doing this for a very long time, that I start paying attention to my awareness in the market, right? I go back and I watch the videos again, and I watch, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I see. I started feeling a little greedy here when I was making this trade. Why is that? Because I'd been staring at the markets for an hour and a half, right? I'd been staring at this thing for a very long time. So at that point, my decision making is a lot more emotional. Mentally, also, I've been like so focused for 90 or so odd minutes, right? But now think about it. If that's just for 90 minutes, what does it look like when you're holding onto a project for 2 years? You know, when you bought into a position in January 2024, right? And this token is not performing well. And honestly, right, you're looking at your dividends, and you're looking at how much money you still have from this, and you have half of what you put in. And half of what you put in is still a lot of money, but it's not everything that you put in. It's still half of your position, right? And thinking around making those decisions of knowing when something is ready to be let go, right? When you look at a project and you go, I need to let go of this position, or otherwise I'm going to be wiped out completely, right? And then there are other projects like Bloom, where when you think, oh, okay, maybe, price is sub 1 cent, right? Sub a penny, right? It's below a penny. And you're thinking, maybe I should let go of this. But then you start doing your research, and you start looking around, and all of that, but you're seeing, okay, but like the price is going down, but there's a connection with OpenUSD, and there's a connection with Ondo, and there's a connection with all of these credit loan companies and compliance, and there's big I love this word so much because I had to write a song about it, and this conversation around the Clarity Act, right? And like you're looking at all of these things, and you start thinking like, okay, cool, like, well, what does this mean for the future of the project, right? And this isn't speculation from I hope this thing works out, right? This is looking at the plumbing of this house that's being built, right? Now you're looking at the blueprint, and you can see clearly, you're like, okay, that's where the living room is going to go, that's where the master bedroom is going to go, that's where the bathroom is going to go, that's where the kitchen. You can see everything being laid out. You can see the connections, and they're being laid. They're not even hiding them. They're making these announcements every day. Sometimes I look at Bloom, like this previous week was the only week where I didn't do a technical analysis video, and I didn't do a fundamental analysis video, because there were so many things that are going on with Bloom. I genuinely thought, I was like, I'm gonna let this week play out, and then I'm gonna do one dedicated, because I'd have to do a video every day, because there's literally something going on every day. There's a connection being made every day. If I could go onto my charts again and show like the technical analysis side of Bloom, etc., right? And the technical follows the fundamental. The technical follows the macro, right? Like knowing where you're gonna buy, right? Like this is just like being really like fine tuning your entries really when it comes to the technical analysis. Like saying, I know that we have a level of support at 0.009, for example, right? I know we have a level of support there, so I'm gonna buy anywhere around that, right? That's just like really fine tuning your entry. But if you go and you start looking at the macro, right, from that point when the price started moving up, look at what was announced. Look at what was announced on those projects. Look at how many other companies also that are attached to a project that is attached to the project that you're looking at. Look at how many of those companies are there and what type of companies they are. Are they companies you've never heard of? Or are they AAA companies? You know what I mean? So it's that, I think, again, like just like bringing this in to the meme coin side now, right? Bringing this into the Trump coin, to the Melania coin, right? And to the messaging that you had put out in the group. It then makes you see that, like, as much as there is hype around like these projects, right? We are not in the Shiba Inu era anymore. We are not in the Dogecoin era anymore.
That part.
Yeah.
Whew.
That's
That
never
part.
coming back. You know what I'm saying? That's never coming back. I could drop a coin 100% with the intention of you helping me out with whatever it is that I'm, maybe with like my music career, or maybe with like touring, or maybe with releasing an album, right? But then the function of that token would be towards that particular thing, right? It would not have the same type of impact as an RWA project that is allowing people to access traditional finance, that is giving people access to credit type opportunities, that is giving people like me from this part of the world, right, access to the same type of credit loan opportunities, right? Or rather APYs, right? That billionaire dollar investors also have the access to, right?
And And you mind if I just jump in into right there,
Yeah, no,
saying
for sure.
what you're
For
saying
sure.
right there? I don't, because you. Let me tell you, folks. I've been rocking with Saint for about 5-6 years now. This man, I steal from him all the time. He knows it too. He doesn't even try. He's so intellectual. He'll just be dropping gems, and I'm gonna use that. What you just said is the problem that I think really I want to make sure that we don't skim past, because he gave you a lot of good meat. The market has changed. The dates of meme coins are over with. That time period is gone. What my proof of that is this. Previously, the whole industry was built on retail investors, and it got as big as it could with retail investors. Back when we thought that the Coinbase effect would work. If you list on Coinbase, it'll go up. Win Binance. We even make those things. Win Binance, win Lambo. That's the things we used to say when I first met Indigo Saint online. That's the things I used to make fun of people saying. Now, win Moon, win Binance, because you could have that exponential 100x. But now, what we're asking for doesn't sit in the same space. I'm going to bring this up, and I didn't want to interrupt you, saying I just want to, because you said it, and I don't want to get by it. I'm going to bring this up, and then I'm going to try to close this thing out. So now, I've been talking about Switzerland, and why am I talking about this? Because there is money moving. I've been talking about the European Union. Why am I talking about this? Because it's connected to MiCA. What does this matter? If you think about the language that we're using right now, we keep saying Clarity Act, Genius Act, and we're staying in the United States. Japan has passed regulation. Europe has passed regulation. So if we're saying we want that institutional money, we have to recognize institutions work off regulations and compliance, which is what the whole concept of today was to talk about. Wasn't so much about Trump family and how much money they obtain. It's about knowing that it cannot continue to persist without regulation. And if you want the money to be pulled into crypto, to push crypto back up to 126,000 and above, regulation is a part of that lifestyle now. So it's not going to be the same. In conclusion, I've given 3 meme coin projects discussion over my 6 years. Shiba Inu, one that was called PR, and another one called Hoppy. Of those 3, 2 of those 3 were no good. Now, why am I able to say that? When I recognized that Shiba Inu, which was in the earlier stages of my platform, I was able to tell my community about that project. And the community was a real community. It went up and people made exponential wealth. With PR, and I can't say the name of it, but it was not safe for work is another name that was used for it. This particular one had a good concept, but the people behind the closed doors, they did all the dealings, and we don't have access behind the closed doors. And I think there was in Europe somewhere, and that project went kapooey. And that reason that project went kapooey, the moment I realized that they were doing some unscrupulous stuff, the first thing I started doing is talking about that unscrupulous stuff, because we only can give you information that's either open source or that we determine through investigating that information. We can't get behind closed doors. We don't have search warrant subpoenas. So whatever's in the mind of a person, we can't change. And then lastly, Hoppy. Hoppy, once I recognized that Hoppy was trying to take away from the artist, Matt Fury, that the artists themselves made a public statement that they're not associated with them, I reported that. Once I realized that they didn't want to do anything further than that, I reported that. Now, here's where I'm trying to make my point. These 3 meme coins in the last 6 years, over 75% of them, 66% of them went under. Only one of them is still active today, but it's still not as big as it was. With the new laws of today, I don't see a place for meme coins to exist for a very long time. I think they're going to go away. I think they're going to fade away. So with that knowledge, let's apply the same thing to what we see here. What we see here is a meme coin that is popular. And I'm going to put it up here just so we can see it. A meme coin that is popular. a meme coin that's got notoriety. It got all the principles, as we saw with other meme coins. Some people who might have talked about it now won't talk about it because it's not in their benefit, because they told you about it. They sold you on it, and they convinced you it's going to do something great. What they're not doing, what they're silent in, it's the thing that I'm doing right now. When I saw something was wrong with a project, I opened my mouth and I said something as soon as I did. In this case, I saw something wrong before it was listed and I told you about it. How many people are you following, content creators right now, who are failing to tell you about the biggest news in 2026 is these disclosures? If they haven't made a video about this thing that we're talking about right now, then you need to ask yourself, are they giving you information for clicks and views, or are they trying to give you information to put you in a position to win? What we want to do is put you in a position to win. So I just want to kind of connect it all together. We've been here now exactly 90 minutes. Saint, if you're good, or Indigo Futures, let's go to the audience and then we'll just let you wrap it up, give final word.
Yeah. Like just thinking, I guess, I'm not really like adding onto like what you said, but just as you said, right? The attachment around these projects, right? The attachment around these projects is emotional, because the attachment around your money is emotional, right? That's something that you cannot escape. Like that, those two things are always going to go hand in hand, right? But at the same time, there is a thing about community-backed tokens, right? Which was your Shiba Inu, your Hoppy, and all the other frog meme coins and frog tokens, right? That are backed by community, right? Where community, as a people, as a collective, we want to see this token do well. So if one person speaks against our token, we're all going to go on to X and we're all going to speak against this person, because how dare you come out here and tell us that our token is never going to work, right? Or is this has no fundamentals behind it, right? And it's the same thing when you're looking at this coin that we've been talking about, these two coins, the Trump coin and the Melania coin, right? What are the communities that are behind this token? Right, behind these tokens rather, right? And how emotionally charged are these people, right? And that even when we've made an entire just down move, right, people are still trying to catch knives, right? Because as a community, right, everyone is hyping this thing that's not going anywhere. You know what I mean? Because as a community, we are these people, and we are Team Trump or we are Team Melania. And so wherever this is going, I'm going to hold on to my project. We need to actively unbrainwash ourselves. We need to deliberately unbrainwash ourselves, and start moving with the fundamental analysis, regardless of how it looks, regardless of how painful it looks, or how uncomfortable the information is, or even if the information goes against what it is that you would like to see, right? We have to go with the fundamentals. We have to go with the things that we're actually seeing. You know what I mean? Yeah, because again, just like same way as I always think with like my trading is, I don't need to risk everything on a Monday, and I also don't need to risk everything on a Tuesday. I need to make sure that I can play this game long enough that just in case I'm not performing at my best on Monday or on Tuesday or on Wednesday, right, I can still trade on a Thursday and I can still trade on a Friday. And even if like that week is bad, I need to make sure that however I performed, I need to be able to have survived to come back and trade the following week. And even on that week, I'm constantly just trying to survive to get to the next week. And the only way you can survive in this game, right, is to avoid ruin. If you're going to get rug pulled all the time, how much money are you going to be left with? And you know what I mean? You're going to be left with nothing, So yeah, I think that's pretty much it from me, guys. That's pretty much it for me. I know I speak like I'm very passionate about this. I'm very passionate about these topics, and I'm very passionate about seeing, I want to see people do well. I want to see people successful, right? And I'm not the type of person to withhold information, and I'm not the type of person to only create content to get clicks, right? Regardless of whether there's high click value or low click value. My thing is, look, I'm going to be as honest as possible, and I'm going to share as much as I can, right? To make sure that whomever it is who's watching this video, right, can then move with the best possible information. And the reason I'm doing that is because at some point, once upon a time, 6 years ago, I watched someone make videos. I watched someone's video, right, on a crypto project. I believe the project was called Stablecoin. And after having watched that video and after having made NFTs, right, and sold music on NFTs, and watched this man's videos on a project called Stablecoin, I took my proceeds from my NFTs, from my NFT sales, and I put them into this Stablecoin project. And I put them into this Stablecoin project because in the video that I watched, there was fundamental analysis. It wasn't about the price of Stablecoin. There was strong fundamental analysis. There was a use case for this token, right? And I put my money into that project, and my money like almost like 6 or 7x'd, right? And after I did that, I reached out to the same person who had made those videos. And today we're out here and we're making a video. We're making this video today. We're making this live video together today. And we're working on the real world alpha, right? As part of a series on the Underdog research channel, And if that hadn't happened 6 years ago, right, I wouldn't be in a position in which I'm so passionate about crypto. I'm passionate about learning about these projects, whether it's RWAs or DeFi or traditional finance or trading. I wouldn't be on this channel right now. I wouldn't be here today. So, because of that, I'm always going to pay it forward. So don't thank me, thank Underdog Research. You know what I say?
I appreciate it, Saint. Well, we got to that point. Let's recognize who got here today. Folks, I will be picking up this conversation again. Don't forget, I'd like to make sure I remind everyone, because this was a fairly long live today. So just remember this. This is a new platform that we'll be launching. This is the first episode, Real World Alpha. As a part of the Underdog Research channel, I do want to take a moment to share his individual channel that you can also find them at. So if you're looking for Indigo Futures, then you'll go here and you can find him on YouTube. I'm gonna put this on big screen so we can all see it together right here and make sure I have it for you. You can see him on YouTube. You can find him at Indigo Futures. Make this a little bit larger for you. And when you go to Indigo Futures, he has several platforms. He has videos, which were pre-recorded videos, and you can see those. Apollo on Plume Explained. That looks interesting with his graphics and charts. Plume Market Cap Analysis. He does New York Session with future tradings daily. You can see that there. He does lives. Mostly he does lives. So if you want to catch him live, catch him each day. There might be a little bit of time differential. So make sure you subscribe so you get notifications. And wherever you're at, you can get this lives. He does daily charts and analysis and gives you the real information. And then right now, if you want to see his playlist, he has Real World Alpha playlist, the Plume Report, Trader Maxing, Indigo Futures Trade. And then he even has some previous conversations he had about the psychology of the market decoded. I'm telling you, folks, and also VWAP. So he has a little bit for everyone. That's why I think that you would benefit from watching Indigo Futures. And so I just want to make sure I share it with you. So now that we're here, let's see who is here, and let's get you guys to another conversation. So today we have LS Square, a member. What's going on, LS Square? Appreciate you sticking with us throughout the whole live stream with Indigo Futures and Underdog. Looking forward to the update. So y'all got the update here, folks. I shared. I wasn't afraid. Indigo Future wasn't afraid. We spoke truth to power with real data based on disclosures, and we tied Bitcoin two meme coins that were launched. We tied when the money was extracted and based on data released from the White House themselves. So you can't deny it. It's right there, black and white. And we also told you what you need to look for in the future. So thank you for watching. We got Phantom Beat, the longest running subscriber on the Underdog Research channel. He's been rocking with me since day one. And so thank you, Phantom Beat, for being here. He says, I'm update ready. You have been updated, Phantom Beat. So thank you for being here, Phantom. We have Fatima F1404, Underdog, big love, heart. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming out to watching Indigo Future and myself on this RWA conversation. And let's see what else you said. Can't wait for the Bybit signal video. I'm going to make sure that I will be there. So, folks, I gave you one Bybit conversation. I told you I have another one coming this weekend. I have a lot to give you. I'll be giving a Bybit conversation. I have another conversation about the Iran war that ended. So I have the last bit connecting the dots and trillions of dollars of real world assets. I'll be going right to Indigo Futures. He talks RWA.xyz, which is a site that tracks all RWAs globally. So we'll be digging into that. The brand that you can't tell is we believe RWAs is the next thing that will be the catalyst, and compliance will be a part of that. So if you're into RWAs, look elsewhere for AI all the time. But if you're looking for RWAs, we got Indigo. Are there a lot of RWAs on that site?
Yeah, brother, there are all the RWAs on that site.
It's a lot. It's a lot, folks. And that's why I'm happy. We've given you the platform for 6 months of purely Plume network, and I will continue to cover Plume. But there's Polygon, Apollo. We got so much on that site, and that tells you where the money moves. So Indigo will be leading that effort, and you'll see us come together and individually. We got Hiro Tanami, another member. Thank you for being a member at the analyst level. I appreciate it. That's going to be huge. We appreciate your support. This is what he says, everyone. So does stablecoins take away the value of a token? Because it's settling in stablecoins takes away, which is like the old legacy system with the fiat. You want to go ahead and answer that one? Indigo Futures?
Yeah. So I guess just to make sure that I understand the question, I believe, so is he asking whether stable coins remain flat, like after purchase, after usage rather?
Let me read it again out loud because of the phrasing I was thought the same thing. So I'm reading this. And Hiro Tanami, if I'm gonna read it, if I get it wrong, go ahead and repost if you're still with us and try to rephrase it. But this is what I'm getting from it. So does the stable coins takes away the value of the token because it's settling in stable coins takes away, which is like the old legacy system with the fiat. So the way I took that is you're asking if the new system of value is a stable coin, and does that take away the value in the Bitcoin market? That's the way I'm taking it, if I'm saying it wrong, because like the dollar bill is the old system, the stable coin is a new dollar bill. So if I'm saying that right, I'm thinking you're asking if the new way that things are settled taking the value. My belief is yes. I believe that the stable coin is the upgrade to fiat, and that the value now is moving globally through the stable coin, and a stable coin is a real world asset. Therefore, I believe that is what takes away from the market. That's how you offload the meme coin. How they did? They sold their meme coins into a stable coin, Ethereum, Bitcoin. They sold that and they got the real world value. So the intermediate for me is the stable coin. That's how I'm reading it. What about you, Saint?
Yeah, because I was also kind of thinking it kind of read like that. I just wanted to make sure. But also, I mean, there also is the aspect of these stable coins. There's also a stakeability aspect to them. So your stable coin isn't just, your one USDC, doesn't just remain one USDC, right? These companies are also lending these stable coins out. So from that one USDC annually, what they're getting back as a return could be anywhere between 5 and 18% on that on that dollar. You know what I'm saying? Depending again on which where they're staking these projects. So if you go on something like a DeFi Llama, you know, I'll do some videos on that and explain that a little more. Or if you're looking purely at just like DeFi projects, DeFi-esque projects, then you'll see a lot of like these stakeability, like you'll see a lot of stakeability, right? So that's the power of the USDC. Not the USDC, that's the power of the stable coins, right? And again, it's the reason why, like, when you think bear market, it's bear for who?
Absolutely.
So yeah.
I
hope that helps. Yeah.
I was going to say that too, because again, that's why I think everyone, you will enjoy this dialogue between Saint, Indigo Futures, and I. I know him as Saint too, folks, because he's a excellent musician. So you'll hear me sometimes say Saint, Indigo Futures. Like BlackRue is also a CryptoRue podcast. He has multiple names, but one thing he just said is that I talked about before, yield, and we haven't gotten to that. So here's the real question I'm going to pose to you. Yes, it says stable coins are the new fiat, and yes, they're taking away from value from the crypto market. Do you know how to use them to get more money from it? Staking, yield bearing. Plume Network has the Nest product. There's vaults within it. You got to exchange your token from a like for Plume, you got to convert it to PUSD. That's a total different stable coin. Then you have to invest it into the vault of your choice, and each vault has different risk and different yields and different products. So I think that's a very valid question. Do you have a platform that's going to tell you what products are out there that you can make money with your stable coins? We will. So that's what you need to know. So know how to navigate that. Watch Indigo Futures if you want to see him go to the site. RWA.xyz, pull from the site real time what RWAs are doing, not technical analysis on the price action. He's pulling where the RWA value is and who has it, how much they have it, and who's in it. So that's going to be huge. So thanks for that question. We got LS Square, another member. He always says it. Let me get my deep voice going. New Jersey's in the house. All right. New Jersey is here. This is Hiro Tanami. He's talking about the Trump grift that he sees, I'm believing, because that's where that came up. He says, pirates and parasites. Listen, folks, I believe in a free speech as long as we're not saying anything that's threatening. I think that is, we can feel what we feel. I think that we are entitled to feel the way we feel. If you see it for what I see it for, I think that we need to consider that no one gave you the signal before 764,000 people lost their money. You wasn't told, but 58 people made $10 million on the deal. So you tell me who benefited, who didn't. So thank you for your thoughts. We got Mr. Baby Ears, aka E. He is the lead moderator, and he always asks about Indigo Futures. You want to say a shout out to E? He always asks about you every time he's on.
What's going on, Mr. E? I'm even doing like a little bop. You know what I mean? I'm just like, good to see you in the chat, bro.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate you stepping in. I know E likes these deep conversations. I don't know how he does it. He's always in the chats. All right, we got Phantom Beat 7967. He says, yes, PR. That's a project I told you I previously talked about several years ago, had potential. Someone came along and did the similar project, proper XRP healthcare. Now, I'm not familiar with that, Phantom Beat, so I'm assuming what you're saying is someone did something similar to that with the XRP healthcare type situation. And that's why I'm taking it. What about you, Futures?
Yeah, that's also kind of how I read it. Yeah, I was disappointed with the PR project. I did think there was like some potential upside there, and not just potential upside from a like a price upside. I just felt there were things that they were doing with their project that was aligned also with just like my own personal beliefs and like taking care of people, etc., and people's wellness and all of that stuff. So I was excited to see them grow and change things in the space, in the industry that they're in. But again, you just if you're someone who's running a project and if you're someone who's a leader or a team leader of a crypto project and you happen to stumble upon this video, or if you are watching this video right now, all I can say is don't be a terrible person. Don't be a horrible person. Just be a decent human being. It's free. It doesn't hurt. You know what I mean? And maybe if you're a decent human being, maybe like your projects could, last longer than a couple of months. But yeah, that's I don't want to drop no diss track.
Yeah, no, don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah.
And I won't talk too much about it because we've already been going for about an hour and 50. We're about to go on 2 hours, so I want to get us through it. But again, I will say this though. There's some great ideas out there. There's some great technologies, but at the end of the day, the thing that doesn't change, we are retail investors and have zero control over the minds and the actions of the leaders of these projects. And as long as we have zero control, then we have to trust that the information they put out is true. We have to trust that they're going to do the right thing. And if you're going to commit a fraud or you're going to do a scam, the whole idea is deceiving people. So you're going to put out everything that's deceptive. And that's the way scams work. Now, take this information that's applied to today. These meme coins that you saw, 764,000 people lost their money. It doesn't matter how much you like the person at the head of it. They didn't give you the signal. Do you believe that you will put yourself in a position that you will lose more money? There is no recovery for this project. So if you are thinking about getting back in, there will be a time that project goes back up. And I'm sure it's going to go from where is it now? I don't want to put it up again, but like 13 cents, $1.74. You might go up to $5. And then people are going to start talking. They'll come back. The people that were quiet about it, 97% down, they'll start talking about it again. It's going to be exit liquidity because the only time this thing is going to go up again is at the exit of the administration. If another administration comes in other than the current administration, you will see a surge. It seems counterproductive, but you will see a surge in that coin because they need to scrape the last bit of money from you. And then it makes sense, folks. After the administration is over with and a new administration takes in, there is no catalyst for the project afterwards. Zero. So don't throw away your money. I can only tell you, I can't give you advice. In my opinion, don't throw away your money. Think about it. All right. Last two comments. We're almost there saying we got cheers, guys. Love your work. Thanks. All right. Thank you. That was Pierre Ordain, 86 Digital, also a member, and I appreciate you watching. And last but not least, we got here Tanami. Are you both still bullish on Stablecoin? Is it a crypto bank? So Saint, last question. I'll let you go first and I'll give my comment and then that's it.
Yeah. So like right now, I am a lot more RWA focused. I think I see that being the space in which a large institutional investment is coming into. And I think that's really what's going to determine, I guess, if you want to call them cycles, like the next 4 or 5 years or whatever. But yeah, I'm not as bullish as I was with Stablecoin as I was, I guess, like 4 or 5 years ago. I do think as in the DeFi space, I do see there are projects that I like a little better, and that I think are performing pretty well. So yeah, I don't know, how do you feel about Stablecoin, Underdog?
All right, my honest assessment, I am on the line, and for the same reasons Saint did. I started my platform talking about Stablecoin, B Pro, talking about Nimic, TKY, and a few others. Every single one I just mentioned and Shiba Inu went up exponentially. I have people who talk to me who make millions. I did well for myself. I'll leave it at that. I did very well. And if you watch my platform completely, you know how well I've done over the years. Here's where I'm at now. It's not the same system anymore. So where I was, is it going to go up? Yes, it will go up in value. Do I think it's going to 10x? Everybody's doing the same thing. So now the stable coin is really the real world asset is that value. So I'm looking more toward the market that Indigo Saint is, and it's not touched. Like if you think about where Telcoin was as a project in DeFi, it was an innovator. It was doing something different. They talked about one bank in a state in the United States, put a bank there. That's great. But if I just open, all I gotta do is, and I'm not going to do it today because we're about to get off here. But if I told Indigo Futures to open up RWA.xyz, you'll see there's so many projects we're not even looking at, and I feel that there is potential within all those masses RWAs. There are some huge potentials for big money. Plume is one I believe is going to take off because it's making an ecosystem. But there's other ones too that, I mean, I don't want to step on Indigo Futures his shine. He's going to talk about things on the RWA program that we're doing here on the Underdog Research Channel that's going to blow your mind, and I'm going to come in after and talk about it too. So Telcoin, long story short, it will do well. It will go up eventually, in my personal opinion. But I believe RWAs are going to do even better. That's my thoughts.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's everything. I don't have any more. Next time we're gonna have to you gonna Indigo Futures. We're gonna have to make a theme song like you do everything else for RWA. I feel like you not giving people the privilege of seeing you in action. So the next time we need a theme song, sir.
Yes, sir. You know I think would be really cool. I think if you are in the live, right? If you are in the live, drop me subscribe to my channel. Maybe just go on to like one of my videos, maybe my most recent video, and drop me a list of words around RWAs, right? Or around the list of projects, and then I'll use that bunch of words and list and of projects, and I'll make sure I write around those words, and I'll write around your name also. So if you want to hear your name, and you want to, you know what I'm saying?
You should have gave that at the very beginning, because now they done waited 2 hours. Not everybody's still here, but we got a pretty good crowd that came today. So what he said was, that's awesome, folks. For 6 years straight, Indigo Saint, the musician, that's his name in musician wise, Indigo Saint has provided music for this platform and other platforms that are popular that you have seen. BlackRue Investing, Red Dad, Blue Dad, the one called The Professor, under our research channel, a few doctors. He's done a lot, and a lot more than people realize. He has dropped his own NFT. He's been a first mover in the space. He's been in the metaverse. You name it. He's been on tour. I can keep going on and on about it. I'm a real big fan, and also I'm lucky enough to call him my friend as well. He is saying that if you want him to, we have this new show that you're seeing right now, the RWA Real World Alpha show with HQ and myself. He will drop a new song. If you leave a comment, you should have said at the very beginning, Saint, if you leave a comment and talk about words around RWAs, he will create a new song from scratch that we'll start singing. And he said you'll put their name in it too?
I'll put their name in it too. I'll put your name in it too. Yep.
I'm feeling some type of way because I had to pay for them though. I had to pay for my song with Underdog in it, so don't get it twisted. That's a huge honor. I've got 2 songs that he made. Well, he made more than 2, but 2 theme songs y'all seen. So that's huge. So guys, leave a comment after you end. So it'll be in the comments. He'll come and check it out. And then I guess every time we do the video, if you give him that reminder at the very beginning, how long before you'll make a decision? A month, 6 weeks? What are you thinking?
I think a month. So we say by the end of July.
Okay.
Have a new RWA song by the end of July. I think it could be cool. We could keep it as a running thing. And let's try and write a pretty cool RWA song. Challenge accepted.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So folks, you heard it here first. If you want to be a part of the song, drop the comments afterwards. We'll start promoting it online as well. Make sure you share this and subscribe, and check out the new ending. The music is by Indigo Futures and also AKA Indigo Saint. Until next time, this has been RWAs with HQ headquarters. Go ahead and give that shout out.
Yes, sir. From one real world alpha to another, it's been absolutely amazing. Catch you on the next one. Take care of yourself. Make sure you drink your water. Make sure you dollar cost average appropriately. And don't put more money than you're willing to lose in this market. RWA, baby. Let's go.
The juices were venom.
Yeah, peep work. I'm moving no research. See, that's the difference between making a bag or losing a bag. Well, it's like work. Research. BOT make the tech work. An underdog, you like Cap Kirk. We masters in the metaverse, and we stay on with the research. Deep work. What you mean you know research? See, that's the difference between 100 stacks and no stacks. Show me research. Light work. BOT make the tech work. An underdog, you like Cap Kirk. We masters in the metaverse, and we stay on with the research. All these boys still gassed up like Ethereum fees on NASCAR. Last week I got a black card, I was stunning, boy, I took it too far. And I didn't even really have to, but money sweet, I got a sweet too. Couple business bitches like I'm Babe Ruth, and all I had to do was pick the truth. Pick and choose, it's a research. You a fool if you chase hype, bro. Homies losing, they don't peep work. It's hella better on the side, bro. Parabellum with a god, bro. War ready, what's the acronym? Wealth analysis, research, and that's freedom is a synonym. Yeah, swear to God, when I put in work, I'll be really in. Yeah, swear to God, if you did the same, you could get in. Yeah, our past time is counting up all these dividends. Yeah, I heard you was going to the moon, I need evidence. Work, I'm moving no research. See, that's the difference